and then share um, what I think are the best of the highlights. And make sure I can see chat. Alrighty, so a number of things, uh, and I've kind of sorted them by where they came out. So we have been in our norm rules group doing some interesting things with creating sets, and one of the enhancements is that you can now create title sets based on, and you can do physical, digital, and electronic as opposed to just all titles. So you can do a limited material type um, of title sets using MMSID. So this will be helpful, especially if you're trying to limit a job or something like that, and you can't, do the weird filter that you need. So that's good. I'll be curious to see if anyone has um, any ideas of how they might use it as you're creating sets. Um, the advanced search has been uh, updated a bit and improved to include is empty and not empty, um, so that you have that option when you're looking at your records in advanced searches. Um, and some of these things, it's like, well, okay, it a lot of the idea exchange ones, it always feels like, um, well, shouldn't that have always been a function? And then you're like, oh, it wasn't. Okay.
The empty and the
This
not empty were
one
there for
I'm
some
very
switches, but
excited about. I'm not exactly sure how you guys use note fields, but the idea that you can append to the field as opposed to changing it, I think is great, because now if you need to run something to maybe add, I don't know what you would put in notes for physical items, but you're not having to erase previous notes. So that's excellent. I hope that that is a functionality that they add to some of the other change blank information, like change patron information or etc. Um, oh, and then this one. Here was the other one that I was like, aha, what we were trying. Oh yeah, really helpful since there are only 3 available note fields. So if you need to add, yeah, you gotta, if they're maxing out, it's good to not have to erase them. But this one is really cool because we literally were having this issue of not being able to run tasks, run jobs on a physical holding set. But now those jobs can be done on a physical holding set, and will affect only the holdings within the set. So that's kind of neat. Because um, we were literally trying to figure out how to run jobs on a holding set the other day. Um, so that is quite excellent. This one, oh, resolver usage is added to the portfolio search results. So here's one that um, I believe the um, the data was always there because you can run these reports, but they have now added it in a um, data visualization. So you can look at link resolver and counter usage, um, in the what does it say? Where, okay, it doesn't, okay, I'm gonna have to so it used to be if you wanted to do link resolver usage, you had to um use a different analysis subject area, and it was kind of gross. So um yeah, this one I'm gonna play with for sure, because I'm very curious as to how useful link resolver usage even is. For example, I compared link resolver usage of Olympics Films on Demand portfolios to their actual usage that came from the platform that Amy sent me, and like it was not the same. I mean, like, and obviously not all of the like counts are going to be the same, but the titles weren't even like the same ones. So, yeah, that's gonna, yeah, interested. So anyway, the directions and how you'll like see it are here. Um, so I'll start playing with that just because I think it'll be interesting insights. Um, For the catalogers out there, there's yet another new field when you go to look at the community zone collections, and this is going to be the quality of the mark record. Um, so it will say, it'll show you when people have ranked the quality, it'll show you how many people have ranked it as low quality, medium quality, and high quality, and you will be able to customize your views to show this. Um, so if that's something that you're interested in seeing, I'm certainly going to explore this a little bit in the sandbox. So let me know and we can figure it out together. And it I think it'll be really fascinating to call out vendors who maybe um, are not doing a great job, and there'll be some kind of like collective power behind being able to say, well, your CC collection is primarily ranked as low quality. Um, so that's kind of interesting. This is what it's going to look like. It'll be over to the right of like the how many uh, activations are there. Um, so like, yeah. Um, or it can be listed like this. I think this one would probably be more useful. Um, so we can take a look at that if you're interested in getting that information, if you're an electronic resources person. Um, this one was listed under acquisitions, but that's only because where sushi harvesting lives in reality. It is e-resource management. It doesn't seem like this will require necessarily any action if you are already doing counter 5. But if you do have sushi harvesting set up for ebook central, you might want to just check to make sure that it gets switched over to this new URL. Although, as I said, I think if you set it up for counter 5, it's already using this one. They're just finally getting rid of release 4 URL. Oh, yes, I will share the link to my highlights. Um, um, Letters configuration. This is one that if you are um, going in and trying to figure out the relationship between the XSL and the XML, having the XPath should be helpful. I think it'll help navigate the customization a little bit better. It does require a little keyboard shortcut Our Alma training next week on the 14th is going to be about letters customization. So I will definitely be digging into how this new functionality can help when you're trying to figure out what the heck is going on with your letters. So that's kind of fun. Okay, on to the administrative and infrastructure mapping tables. They are, ugh, they make me crazy because I'm like, okay, this is useful, but it's not. So they've done some improvements on these, and I'm very excited to kind of see um, how that helps. An inner search functionality is going to be excellent for when you've got those giant maps and there's no way to filter or search, and you kind of expect there to be. They've added that search. They've added the ability to change column orders and the width so that you can actually read all of the content if necessary, which was so frustrating because sometimes you'd have these really narrow columns and then you'd have to like hover over the field content to read all of it. The they will actually display text instead of fields. And there'll be some better page titles and pagination. All of this is like such basic UI that it has frustrated me that it didn't exist. And it frustrates me further that they've finally done it when it seems like a standard function of other tables within Alma. Um, this one is interesting. And so it says at the bottom, like, why this is better. But they've added the option to edit a user from the user card. And I think the important thing that you should know is there was a note that the ability to edit users will still be based on permissions. So if someone is looking at the user card and they don't have a role that allows editing of users, they're still they still won't be able to edit anything. But it should apparently improve the workflow on the Alma borrowing task list and make things just a little more streamlined. So hopefully there's no glitches with that. And they really have it based on user roles and permissions so that things don't accidentally get changed. One of the things that I missed from a couple months ago, or maybe I saw it in their most recent video about their ACRL iPads out of the box dashboard, and this is what we're talking about, is their out of the box ACRL iPads dashboard, which is available in like the catalog if you go into analytics. They have added the item creation date filter so that you can filter based on items that were created, um, the before the greater than, less than date. So if you're trying to get title counts and you're doing this 6 months after the end of the fiscal year, and you don't want to include titles that you've added, this fall, you should be able to, using their out of the box filters, eliminate those new titles. I believe that's been a function that Wade had in the dashboard that he created. The issue, of course, is that um, you're still limiting based on life cycle. And of course, there could be something that was weeded since the end of the previous fiscal year that has been removed from that count because it is looking at current status. not status effective date. And I'm working on the sequel to get um, some effective date historical data stuff into our dashboards. So this was a pretty big release as far as the idea exchange. They really bragged about, and here's the full notes. They bragged about how many idea exchange ideas ended up on the enhancements list. Um, Now, I do have down at the bottom a bunch of acquisitions uh, rollout stuff, but I know not everybody uses acquisitions. So I just put those things down here for those of you who will find it useful. Um, but so yeah, I would like these to kind of be like, I look at the releases, I see what's going to be possibly the most impactful, and then together we like kind of figure out and explore in your use scenarios. So are there any of these that anyone would like to look at live, and we'll kind of um that way we can demo for everyone together?
Give us a minute to look over the list
Oh,
again.
Christy, I'm sorry. My audio is all messed up. Um, Hold on. Let me try again. Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. Please feel free to look over the list. I just had to leave the WebEx because I don't know how to mute one meeting and not the other. There's got to be a way. Oh, link resolver usage thingy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's see where that is supposed to show up. Okay, so when reviewing search results for portfolios. So this is just, I'll just go into Big Bend. And the other issue is that I believe it says something about um, it did say something about configuring to view, but maybe not. We'll take a look. So portfolios, and we'll see. Well, there's some new little icons. Okay, so it should theoretically be showing up here. Oh, here, link resolver usage. Okay, but what? Okay, so I was looking at it. Like resolver usage. One. Uh, so we're seeing it down here in other details. But of course, there's not a ton of use. Um, let's see if I can't. Okay. The number of times the portfolio appeared in the view it and the number of times it was clicked. So this is really interesting. So this is when this portfolio showed up. Wait, appearance? Yes, appearance is when that specific portfolio showed up in someone's search results in the get it section. And then the access is when it was clicked on. So I'm trying to think of something that I know that I've clicked on at Big Bend. Mm,
And so this is rolled out now.
it does appear to be.
Okay.
Um, let's limit to available, which those would have been. Just trying to find something that someone would have clicked on, you know? EBSCO's probably more prevalent than Gale. I don't think.
Well, I mean, we know where it is and where to look for it now. So that's
Yeah. So the thing
mostly
is
what I was
like,
going for.
yeah, and this, like I said, I am not entirely sure how accurate it is when you go into analytics, and run link resolver usage, on things because, like I said, I checked the films on demand. Um, let's see if I can't find a quick one. I think I've got one. Yeah, okay. So I was checking this out and trying to figure out, oh, well, yeah, okay. Edit for what's going to work for Big Bend, but and you can see that like the number of clicks is, and this isn't video platforms, it's in like is really low. Like if you go in and like checked counter usage, this wouldn't match, in my experience. It is interesting to see um what's getting clicked on from Primo, but like again, there's no way that the last, well, when was, yeah, the last 3 years, nature has only been clicked on 32 times. Um, or that New York Times has only been clicked on 47 times, or Washington, like, so I'm not really sure how, um, how great this is. But the fact that you can now see it in, um, the actual portfolios list. So if you're trying to, you know, determine, the specific use really quickly of something. Let me try. Since we saw use of New York Times titles, um, yeah, so like New York Times from New York Times. This is saying that in 4 years there have been 47 clicks, and in the last year there's been 1 click. Um, oh, here's 22. So yeah, so the title, whoop, not the title is these reports are aggregating all of the portfolios with the same title. It appears that each of these portfolios are different time. Yeah, exactly. It's just counting the use through the link resolver, not LibGuides or anywhere else that you've put access to this content. So if you've got faculty who are putting stuff into Canvas, obviously that's gonna affect usage. So here's number of times that someone used ProQuest to access New York Times, US News Stream. Yeah, one, because trying to read New York Times on ProQuest is terrible. Um, how many times someone tried to use contemporary women's issues to access the New York Times? Zero, because yeah, why would you do that? Um, global issues, zero. I would guess maybe academic one file. Nope. Um, yeah. So it is interesting because it's one more piece of information they could look at really quickly of like, okay, well, link resolver's getting this much, counter's getting this much. Um, but then if you wanted to know which collection was actually getting clicked on, you could tell through this, but I think you can run it through analytics too. But maybe not because link resolver usage doesn't. So there's the electronic collection name under service details. And there's portfolio ID, but not portfolio name. Um, so come here. Oh, geez. So two different portfolio IDs, same. Yeah, I think it could be used to figure out what paths people are using to get to online resources, but we'll have to um, kind of wait and see what kind of interesting data visualizations or reports some of the larger consortiums can put their brain power toward. Um, but you can see right here, like young adult library services, it's available from multiple electronic um, or platforms providers. And now you've got, well, people are equally choosing which platform. Yeah, don't rely on it for use apps. Um, Interesting. That's all the same. I'm trying to find another one with the like multiple world literature today. EBSCO, Gale, ProQuest, equal um equal choices between those. This is interesting. So Women's Health Weekly you can get through Health and Wellness or the other collection, larger collection, and it looks like obviously people are using the larger collection far more often than the Health and Wellness collection. So Women in Business. This is kind of interesting to see like people don't yeah. I mean, I could have told you this, but like people don't have a preference on their platform for the most part because they're just not familiar enough with one platform or another. Um so I'm not really seeing anything all that surprising here. Um but still fascinating. Yeah. Kirsty, does this kind of like any further like thoughts on how you might use it?
No, not really. I think that comment about it's kind of helpful to see how people are getting to the e-resources. And SJ says it's not that they don't have a preference, it's that Primo doesn't always serve up the same links.
Yeah,
I mean, when you were talking about it's showing that there's no real preference, um, that to my mind is a pretty good argument for libkey, you know.
exactly. Right. Yeah. Which that's a yeah, I mean something. Oh, what's this? Interesting. See, and this doesn't make any there's there's no way that all of these had exactly the same usage. Like I'm not exactly sure where these numbers come from. Definitely worth more investigation because it just doesn't, yeah, because it says clicked services because I was trying to see,
What's the number of requests
yep, that's,
field? Because now I'm looking at that number of electronic clicked services, and it makes me think it's that it's somehow it's compressing things
mm-hmm.
to the service record in an electronic
Okay, here's
collection.
one that's slightly different. So clicked services, number of requests, number of clicked requests. So this is this was the original one I had in there. Um, and then this is that number of requests. There's some difference, which I,
Yeah, so maybe that number of requests is a more reliable number.
yeah, I think well, but okay, so world literature today, this was the number of
I think there's
clicked
I think there's
services. There should
there's
be,
some kind of data dictionary for all
yeah, there
critics
is.
that explains what the
I'm
different
gonna,
are.
we've got an analytics meeting coming up. Um, so I think I'd like to explore this since this functionality has been added to the actual portfolio search page, I think it's good to understand where it's coming from and how it compares. So I'm going to put it on my list to check those data dictionary uh, things for link resolver usage. So Lori says she just tried it for a specific journal and it has exactly the same number for each of the various vendors. So yeah, there I gotta figure out how, which does that mean? Yeah, because Alma constructs the open URL. That doesn't make sense. I'm gonna figure this out and then we will actually know what this new information means. But it is interesting. Um, this one requires customization of views. Um, and
But I'm not seeing anything that says that customers can rank. I assume it's some automatic
oh, could be.
ranking
Yeah.
where they're looking at how are there specific fields, like if there are fields that are typically subject fields, add X number. That's my guess about what they're doing.
Um, and I know nothing about how to customize views in search results.
I think that's when that you do your search and you go into the gear icon, and that lets you pick what fields are going to display and where exactly those fields are going to show up.
Ah, yep. There it is. It's bibliographic rank information. So we can put it at the top. And then will it show up? Aha! Here it is. It was always there. So interesting. I think it's just one more tool when you're going to figure out what collection you want to activate. Like if you're like, oh, I need to activate New York Times, and you find all of these, and yet these don't, they have very few activations. They have no bibliographic ranking because they're databases, so they're not going to have that stuff. But the selective packages have the bibliographic, but again, like low quality, no activations. Um, Interesting that uh, let me what this is not a great one to compare because there's only the one. I'm gonna broaden it a bit. Perhaps I broadened it too much. So this is cool. This one is freely accessible and we can see what its average ranking is. Um, so this is a cool tool for open access content. I'm gonna find another open access one to look at. Yes, Access World News is very bad. Um, Although it looks like they're trying to improve 21 to 22. Um, mm, Wish this was, um, hold on. We could do Q and there is this is gonna be cool.
There are open access news sources.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see. Um, Access World News Research Collection. I don't know why that would be open access. Um, Easy B journals. Yeah, Cinel Ultimate is not open access. What? Oh, because it has some open access in it. Let's add freely available. Um, See if that fixes it. U.S. government documents. Average 65. Free e-journals 67. Chronicling America. Uh, Arts and Humanities. So this is very cool because now if you're like, well, I want to add some more open access journals, this one is, pretty good uh bibliographic and a high number of activations. So that's like two tools. We can export this and sort in Excel based on bibliographic rank and activations and such, and come up with a pretty decent list of, highest quality, most often activated globally kind of information so that we have a like best of open access. Um, like that one's an interesting one. Yakma's got it active, and I keep meaning to take a look at it because it's not an acronym I'm familiar with. But, like the Wiley free content, I mean, like very high bibliographic rank and lots of activations. Last update, well, next update, future. Uh, so, like this is some great information for if you're trying to add open access or figure out potentially how bad a particular collection might be when it gets added, just so you have a heads up. So I kind of like this. This is cool. Um, it's no doubt based on some kind of AI, so I'm guessing we can expect it to maybe get better um and more knowledgeable as more stuff is added. Um um yeah, this is going to take way too much investigation to check out today. I'm kind of Let's check out a mapping table. Um there's labels somewhere in here.
I wish they would do that with other elements of the interface too.
I know.
I had a
Oh,
situation
yeah.
last week where I accidentally applied the wrong TOU to a fulfillment rule because there were two TOUs that had very similar names and you couldn't see the whole name from within the field.
Field. Yeah. That's nice. Let's see. Nope, that's in config. Fulfillment. Yeah. Maybe they'll get there. Maybe doing it with mapping tables was like, well, these are more um, I don't know. No, get out of config, that might help. Um, what's another mapping table?
User group? Isn't user group a mapping table?
Let's see. Where would that? Is that in config?
Yeah.
Mm, no. No.
What about material type?
Where is that? Resources?
I believe so.
What? This. I love that they like, fix the thing and then we're like, okay, but where? Where is an example? I mean, yeah, it's showing up here, which is great. Because this is, but I'm not. But did it even work? There we go. So if anyone finds a mapping table that they now have the cool ability to search. Um, no. As often as I run into them, you'd think that I would remember which ones were. No. Okay. Well, yeah, hopefully that it will start to extend to additional um, parts of the interface. Um, editing the user from the user card. I don't even understand the difference between the user and the so if I do a user search,
I think the user card is what you see in the fulfillment area when you're inside the patron record when you do manage patron services.
I'm in this. I definitely never remember my ID. There we go. Okay, so this is,
Oh, maybe that's it.
and then that's just a link to mail too. Yes, this is, okay, so now I'm in, okay, great, go. Okay, so this is,
It might be the box on the right side. So there are two frames on the screen, and I think when they're
oh,
talking
this,
about patron card, yeah, I think they mean the thing that shows up in that right frame.
well, and it's also referring to it in the Alma borrowing task list. Now includes a linkable username. Borrowing task list. This might be you have to be at a desk.
Or you, yeah, and you may have to be assigned a fulfillment manager, fulfillment administrator role. It might be
Well, I
something
can look something. I
that
can
through
hold on.
the
I've got another computer here. What's the barcode on this one? Let's try.
the task list is that checkbox icon on the upper right.
Okay, so let me. Okay, so they didn't actually put it in there. Okay, so well, theoretically there should have at some point there's a, it says, because it was saying there's a linkable name.
Maybe I was wrong. Maybe that's just from whatever circulation fulfillment task list exists.
The requester field.
Oh, Victoria
Okay,
put
okay.
something in the chat.
On the borrowing request, okay, fulfillment, resource sharing. I don't have the right permissions. Okay. Well, anyway, so, but it's probably here, right? Like that's where it'll be clickable if you're in the right area. Um, so, if you work in acquisitions, the PO lines task list that they got the new layout for. It's had some further updates. It's not yet the absolute required interface that will come in February. So if you are not yet using the new layout for PO lines, you've only got, 2 months to get used to it. And there's lots of continuing updates to that interface. So if your acquisitions, just be aware. The analytics, the new interface, I think became the default interface. So hopefully you've all changed to that. But yeah, well, thanks for joining me today. And next week we will have letters customization and a little LLC recap from the meeting that I'm going to tomorrow.